Menopause is a full body event. Every single cell feels it. And if you've been dealing with stubborn belly fat that appears to be seemingly showing up overnight after 40, you're not alone. And I want you to know it's not your fault. Hi, I'm Dr. Betty Murray. And after helping thousands of women through perimenopause and menopause, I can tell you with absolute certainty we can't use the same tactics and techniques that we used in our 20s and 30s to achieve the same results when we're in our 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond. Your hormone depletion means that you have a change in metabolic activities that increases your risk not only of just stubborn weight gain, but truly sensitive and serious health concerns. The reality is, the more you understand how these hormones interplay, you can take steps to regain control. And what is most important is that you need to know that your body is fighting against you because you're working with outdated weight loss information and advice, or you're listening to a trainer who's a male who happens to be under 40. Menopause makes the metabolism change. So, in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down the exact reason why traditional diet and exercise, or calories in, calories out, fails women over 45 and show you the metabolic shifts that are happening in your body right now. This isn't a journey about getting your pre-baby body back. It's about really understanding your new hormonal landscape and optimizing where you are today so you can work with it, not against it. Because this is a journey, not a destination. And we're on this trip for an average of 30 to 35 years, so we might as well have the best menopause ever. So let's start off with number one. It's kind of a payoff, right? So there is a huge relationship between estrogen and cortisol. When you hit perimenopause, your estrogen levels begin to fluctuate dramatically. I like to call this bungee jumping. So imagine that your estrogen's on this crazy bungee jumping ride, and every few days it's fluctuating up and down. For many women, we get more symptomatic. We see more mood changes, more sleep issues. We might see changes in our skin, changes in our periods. That is because of the change in estrogen. And when you start to head into that second chapter of perimenopause, you'll start to see estrogen decline. And so this doesn't just affect our reproduction. This actually fundamentally changes how your body stores and uses and burns fat. Estrogen helps regulate insulin sensitivity, which means as it declines, you become more likely to store fat, especially around your midsection. Now, here's the thing that most doctors really don't know. It's not even that they're not telling you, they just don't know. Is when estrogen declines, it creates this domino effect. And when that's happening, the domino is actually hitting the hormone cortisol. When estrogen drops, cortisol tends to spike and go up. So cortisol becomes elevated, and cortisol is directly linked to belly fat accumulation. So cortisol is our stress hormones. So just the loss of estrogen is going to cause this spike in cortisol that is going to be a continual spike, not just a single episode, but we're going to see a steady and gradual increase in cortisol. So why is that important? Cortisol is linked to abdominal fat through the mechanism of insulin resistance and inflammation. So when cortisol is elevated, we got more inflammation, especially inflammatory fat that is around the abdominal area, in with your muscles and underneath your muscles around your organs, called visceral fat. And that's some angry fat. That angry fat then produces a bunch of cytokines, stimulates more inflammation. We become more insulin resistant. We become more elevated cortisol, and the cycle goes on and on and on. So you become more inflamed. So the first payload you need to understand is no estrogen increases cortisol. Wildly fluctuating estrogen causes an abnormality with cortisol. And then really balanced estrogen keeps the cortisol pattern normal. Now, one thing that could be a caveat to that is if you have a lot of stress, and so most women do at this time. We might be empty nesting, we might have children that are now going out and on their own and having their own children and grandbabies. We might be caregiving, we might be changing careers, we might be having changes to our family that is significant. So excluding those life stressors that may be adding, just the change in your hormones will drive this estrogen cortisol loop. And so we have to be able to address those. Now, estrogen and cortisol is just the beginning. There's another critical hormone that's working against you right now, and it's the reason why diets that worked in your 30s are actually sabotaging your metabolism after 40. Ladies, if you're noticing more fine lines and wrinkles, it's not just about aging, it's about the loss of estrogen. And that affects our skin structure, making it drier, thinner, less firm. But here's the great news: I've created Biased Mastery Cream to help. This luxurious bioidentical estrogen cream supports your natural hydration and elasticity. It's packed with nourishing oils like olive, jojoba, aloe, and coconut, so it feels amazing and helps soften those lines and bring back that healthy glow. I've been using it, and let me tell you, my skin has never looked or felt better. It's smoother, more radiant, and those little cracks and creases are way less noticeable. If you're ready to give your skin some extra love, check out Buy Est Mastery on the Metabolic Blueprint website. And that's metabolicblueprint.com/. Biest Mastery. That's BIEST Mastery, MASTERY. And your face will thank you. Payoff number 2. I talked a little bit about this hormone, but I'm going to go a little deeper. It's the insulin resistance factor. So, insulin is a hormone and it is made by your pancreas. And when you enter your 40s and beyond, your body becomes more insulin resistant. This means the carbohydrates that you could easily process in your body when you were younger now triggers larger and larger amounts of insulin to transport it, and it promotes fat storage rather than fat burning. Now, the other thing to understand is insulin resistance is a body-wide experience, but the parts of the body do not become insulin resistant at the same rate. So, what's important to know is the first system that tends to become insulin resistant is your muscle tissue. So, this is the big muscles that move you, like your legs and your arms and your abdomen, your back and your butt cheeks, right? All of those muscles that help you move. Those muscles are the first ones to become insulin resistant. They are also the most important body organs to actually burn your carbohydrates or burn your fat. So if we have insulin resistance, the muscles go resistant first. And so think of it this way: your primary gas burning engine, your muscles, are not working properly. So the caloric intake and the food intake that you ate maybe 20 years ago isn't being burned at the same rate anymore. Well, then what happens is each organ becomes insulin resistant. And one of the last 2 organs to become insulin resistant is your liver. And your liver is responsible for producing more glucose. And it's actually sort of a regulator of glucose utilization or fat utilization. So if we become insulin resistant, the longer we've been insulin resistant, the more the different organs of the body become insulin resistant, and we become really poor fat burning machines, and we store more fat because of it. So the standard low fat, high carb diets that were very, very popular years ago, and again, many people recommend, actually can increase insulin resistance in this situation. Also, even if you're watching your macros, if you're not able to actually get those organs like your leg muscles and your other musculature, skeletal muscle, more sensitive, you may not get the full effect of what you're doing, and that your metabolic rate is now reduced. So each time, particularly you eat processed carbs and sugar, chocolates and other things, alcohol in an insulin resistant state, that's kind of a double whammy also. So carb intake becomes harder because your body can't process them properly. And then over time, your cells become less and less responsive. So it creates this very vicious cycle. And what's more is insulin resistance doesn't just affect your weight. It affects your energy levels, your mood, even your sleep quality, which brings me to the third critical factor, right? So let's talk about sleep, right? So sleep is so vital that we spend, a quarter of our life, if not a third of our life, actually sleeping. And There's a nightly process that happens while you're sleeping that could be the hidden reason why your metabolism seems broken. Most women completely overlook this, but fixing this could be the key to losing that final bit of stubborn belly fat that's been bugging you. Right? So let's talk about the sleep metabolism connection. Poor sleep is extremely common during perimenopause and menopause, with up to 60% of women reporting sleep disturbances as one of their primary symptoms. But what most women do not realize is this it dramatically affects your weight loss effort. So, just one night of poor sleep can increase your hunger hormone, ghrelin, by up to 15%. And it can also decrease the sensitivity to your hormone leptin that helps you with satiety. And it can reduce your insulin sensitivity by 25%. So, literally, one bad night of sleep. And it can elevate your cortisol, which, as we discussed before, can promote belly fat storage. This creates this perfect storm. You're hungrier, you're less satisfied by food, you're more likely to store it, and you're more likely to store what you have as fat, and you're more prone to stress eating, and you actually get signals in your body that tells you to eat more comfort food, and also become more sedentary. It's a metabolic disaster, and it happens night after night for women over 45. And it's time you really had the right roadmap. So, now that you understand why traditional diet methods and weight loss methods, really kind of fail us over 45, now that you know that, here's the reality. This is just one piece of your menopause journey. And there's a comprehensive approach that I've created at Minerva that's helped hundreds of my clients transform their health during this critical transition and beyond. So I want you to check out my company, Minerva. It's called the Minerva Project. And this is where we provide personalized hormone therapy treatment and testing. And this is there to address your root cause of your symptoms, not just to replace hormones, but get to the bottom of your sleep, your weight loss resistance, your energy, your fatigue, your mood issues by helping uncover the root cause of why they're there so you can finally take control and feel vibrant again.